Today I'm going to talk about retrieving data from ENFOS with a subtitle of Reports, Worksheets, and 100 Other Ways to Amaze Your Colleagues. Those of you who were here last year might remember that I likened ENFOS to the elephant happened by 6 blind beggars. I've labeled the beggars. You might have your own labels for them. But that was last year. This year, I think ENFOS is more like an onion. Not because it makes you cry, although there's some of that, and not because it leaves a bad taste in your mouth, but because ENFOS is multi-layered. As each layer of knowledge is peeled away, it reveals yet another layer to be investigated and utilized. And utilize is the key word there. Oops, too many. No? All right. All right, after you log into ENFOS, you find yourself on the home page and the dashboard. And there you see the first aspect of the multi-layer. There are 7 modules available for you to use in ENFOS. I'm coming back to this. Okay, another multi-layer aspect is that ENFOS is organized in a hierarchical structure. And there you see the Celanese structure, starting with the parent and going all the way down to what we call the area of concern. Celanese has 7 geographical regions. In fact, we have sites in in Nanjing and Shanghai. We have 25 legal entities. Basically, those are the businesses. We have 118 sites, 153 environmental matters, and 463 areas of concern. And I guess that's what you would call a project. We manage that with what I think is a fairly small team. We have a director, and we have 4 project managers and a part-time project manager and an ENFOS administrator. That's me and an administrative assistant. The entities are located along the hierarchical structure, and in this case, I've circled an area of concern. In this case, it's a tank demolition. And reports can be run anywhere along the hierarchy. Okay, back at the home page, I navigated my way to the area of concern because that's where I'm going to run these reports from. Okay, before I get into that, I want to give you a 30,000-foot idea of some of the site modules, or the modules. The site module, which is on the left there, is where the master data for your sites is located. The data module, which Celanese does not subscribe to yet, and Roger's been talking to that about us, is where all the laboratory data is kept and where the GIS is to be found. The finance module, I call that the banker. That manages all aspects of money, procurement, planning, accruals, etc. There's a tools module and an administrative module, which is used primarily by the administrator. There's a compliance module, which can be customized to use by the user to set up their auditing and their own tracking procedure. And finally, there's the portfolio module. And the portfolio module is what I'm going to focus on today, and that allows the user to create report groups, portfolios, etc. Okay, if you find your way to the portfolio module, you see there's even more choices. You have the ability to run a report. You can, once you've defined a report, you can go to a view edit where that report's been saved. You can generate favorite reports, and you generate templates, which I'm going to talk about in a little more detail, and also group reports. Now I see the problem. My charts were out of order. There we go. Okay, if you're going to create a report, the first thing you want to do is select your portfolio. And the portfolio is basically the portfolio determines the data that you're going to have in your report. And you can have a report that is as high as the parent level, the Celanese, or you can have a report that is as low as the area of concern. And depending on the node that you select, and that determines where your data comes from. You can also develop portfolios based on criteria, and we have several within Celanese. I have project manager specific portfolios. I have portfolios for inactive projects. I have portfolios for active projects. So you can define these portfolios, and then they can be saved, and then whenever you want to use them, you can go to them. So you don't have to recreate it each time that you run the report. Okay, I went into this. A portfolio is basically a filter based on a user-defined criteria. And in this case, this is the beginning of a project manager portfolio. And you see there that the contact type is supposed to be a site contact. I guess I'm not getting it. And the lookup type is the project manager. So this is the beginning of developing a portfolio for a project manager. And as I said, once the portfolios are developed, they can be saved and used later. And this just happens to be the list of portfolios that I've created. And I guess the point I should make there is they're created by me, but I can share them with all of the users in the group. Okay, the next step after you define the portfolio is to select the report category and the report type and any customization that you have. There are just a large number of reports available through ENFOS right now. There's a number of report categories. There's finance or financial planning. There's miscellaneous, administrative. Down under the report type, you can almost let your imagination run wild in the reports that are available. And then the report itself is generally one that you've customized and saved in your own user document. Well, if you're here and you want to see a list of all the reports that are available, you can click on list up there. And then you generate this list of, this runs on about four or five pages of all the reports that are available in ENFOS. And my advice here is just to get in there and try them and see which ones you like. And of course, you can, once you're in and see them, you can customize them to your own needs. You can delete fields, you can change order, and that sort of thing. Okay, once you've selected your report, and in this case, we've selected an invoice report. This is invoices in local currency for 2011 year to date. You go in and you select the output format that you want. And the three types of outputs, there's in-screen report, there's a download, and there's a template. This is what the in-screen report looks like. I use this sometimes just to see what variables are in a report, because it's useful if you want to take a quick look at something, but it's difficult to save, and sometimes the screen width is such that you can't see all the variables without scrolling back and forth. So it's really for a quick look. The next report example is the download, and this is the format of the download. This is in a CSV file. And so to do anything with this, you've got to save it first as an Excel file, and then you can go in and start formatting it and deleting columns and such. The one advantage that this has is that it contains all of the data in the field. So if you don't know what you want, this is a good report to download and look at what you want, and then you can start separating out the data. Okay, this is the report output from a generic template. And Roger, if I'm correct, every user has a generic template, don't they? Yeah. So there's a generic template which takes the download file and converts it into an Excel spreadsheet automatically. So sometimes the only reason for using the download was if you wanted it in a CSV format, because when you load things back up into ENFOS, it has to be in that format. So this is a generic template. It's converted it to an Excel spreadsheet, and if I had gone in and clicked on Run the Macro, it would have formatted the column widths to the proper width. So. And the fourth output is a custom template, and this is where we've gotten to in the most part. The custom template takes the report, it deletes all of the fields you don't want, it puts the fields in order that you want, it sets the column format that you want, so it's a much more readable report. And you can also do some other things with the macros. You'll notice in that this is an invoice report. You can put subtotals in there, which is a real advantage. You can use the filter. You can use the filters over here to select what you want. And now in this case, this is all the same environmental matter, all the same area of concern, and all the same phase. But say that you were a project manager with multiple environmental matters and you just wanted to focus in on one of your sites. You can use the filters and just get yourself a very specific report to that. Okay, so once you've defined your reports, you can save them as a named favorite. And so this is the beginning of creating standardized, repetitive reports for the general population to use. You create a report and you save it as a named favorite. So you see there I've got a report called Invoices in Local Currency, All Dates. And so if anybody comes and says, what happened in 2008, I can go in and I can run that report for them and get them that information. So again, these are all saved in my account, and then later there's a sharing process for that. Okay, the next step in group reporting is to create a macro that will generate the report that you want. And I guess I should back up a little bit. A macro can be used for just a demand report too. So this is a macro that's been created, and so anybody that gets this report, the first thing they have to do is run the report. To make it a little bit easier to understand, I've listed the fields that are in there, and so when that report shows up, that's what they see. Okay, then in group reporting, you have to define your group. And I've created groups for the different project managers. I've created groups for some management, that sort of thing. But this is a report group that's invoices for one of my project managers. It's a shared group, so that means that everybody can use it. I've scheduled the job to come out on specific times, and then I'm able to set up that it's a repeating job, and it happens every Sunday, and this is the day it started, and it's continued every week since then. And it's emailed to the user, and then I also send a copy to myself just to make sure that it happens every week. And then you define the report down here that you want. So what you've done is you've created the report, you saved it as a favorite, you created a macro for it, and then you saved it as in the report group. So it happens every week or every month or with whatever frequency that we need. That our report goes out to the user, and you don't have to keep redoing it every week or every month or when the people want it. And these are some of the report groups that I have. And again, these are shared. You have the ability to save groups as private groups, and I do that when I'm developing things. I mean, I don't want them out. I don't want them out there when they're not ready. So I might save it as a private group, and then later when it's ready, I'll put it in the shared group, which means anybody as a Celanese user can run it. And these are just some of the examples of the group reports that go out. This is a portfolio-based invoice report. It's project manager specific. Goes out weekly. This is a report that goes out to management on a monthly basis and gives them a recap of the plan, the spending, and the accrual balance for all of our AOCs. This is a financial report. It's the monthly reserve roll forward report, and it's used by finance to make whatever adjustments they need. And by the way, I think you mentioned that ENFOS does not make any changes to SAP, and I think that's a significant piece of information. This information is available to the financial people, but they're the ones that have to go into the general ledger and make the changes. So ENFOS does not make any changes to SAP, which I agree. We had the same problem. Our financial people and our procurement people all been out of shape about that. I showed this report last year, but it's one that I'm particularly proud of. It is a worksheet that we put together for the planners to do their planning in. And this sheet down here is an extract from ENFOS of the existing plans. And then the macro goes in and adds a number of other things, including a total of the plan. And then the project manager uses this, and he compares it to the existing accrual. And what he needs to do is reconcile the existing accrual to his new plan value, and then explain any difference as part of the plan. Explain that to the financial people. So doing reports is easy as 1, 2, 3. You select your portfolio, you select your report, and you select your output.